Fire Chief. Okay, so why don't we get started in prayer? Who would? It's on already. Ready to go. Who would like to open us up in prayer? Thank you. Thank you very much.
Let us bow our heads. Our Heavenly Father, we just come to you in the most humblest way that we know how, bowed head and humbled heart, thanking you, Lord, for this is the day that you have made, and we've chosen to rejoice and be glad in it. We thank you, Lord, for every individual, every church that represents here on today. We pray, Lord, that the council will be able to accomplish the things that are set before them. In the mighty name of Jesus, knowing that we can do all things through Christ Jesus, which strengthen us. We thank you, Lord, for all that are present. And those that are traveling, we ask that you give them traveling grace as well. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. And thank God. Thank you very much. Okay, so we are gonna introduce our new members. Do we have any new members here? Yay, a new member. Please introduce yourself. Right on.
My name is Pastor Christian Bravo from Liberty Church. I'm the pastor of the Spanish church, Liberty Church. And I work...
You with Richard West?
Yes, okay. Yes. And I work in the community doing community outreach events.
Very nice.
Yes.
Very nice. Welcome.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
He's the brains of Liberty.
I'll be sure to tell Pastor West that. He's the brains of Liberty. Gotcha. Any other new folks? Yeah.
I guess I'm new. This is my first time as well. I am Jimmy Allen. I'm from Badenov, where Pastor Sam Morris is my pastor. And this is my first meeting, and I'm just excited about being here.
Very good, and thank you for coming.
Hi, my name is Harold Waters. I'm with the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I am subbing today for President Mark Lecheminade, and I am the Public Communications Director for our stake. So that's why I'm here.
Very nice. Thank you. Anyone else? Do I see any new faces over here? No? Okay. All right. Just making sure. Okay. Okay, so we're going to talk briefly about the City of Fairfield Community Resources Information Spreadsheet. This is the spreadsheet that we discussed a few meetings ago, a few times, about creating a centralized location for all of the community resources that are available to primarily our homeless population and those needing that kind of assistance. We understand that sometimes churches, which are often the first line of defense in this battle, people will come to churches, but the churches don't know exactly where all of the resources are, how to access them, etc. So we are trying to collect that information from each of you so that we will have a centralized database of this information.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Does this work? Hi, everyone. Selena Sanchez again here from City Manager's Office, Homeless Services Division. Thank you to those who did provide their community resource sheet. We have about 7 responses. So with that, we're going to go ahead and compile that information, and we're also going to send a request to our local service providers that we know of and receive more information from them so that we can put together a more comprehensive database, and that will be housed online. So we're going to send that out pretty shortly here. We're going to be working with our homeless intervention team and our local community providers to make sure we, spread that net wide and get all those resources captured, and then that'll be accessible to everyone online as well. So thank you.
I'm thinking, do you think it would be a good idea to have our very busy pastors fill this information out while we've got them in this chamber? like, you know, maybe our next CAN meeting, if we don't get full responses, just bring the information sheet or whatever it is here, and then I'll make sure that we get them filled out. And I won't let anyone leave until they fill it out.
That's perfect.
All
We can
right,
do
so
that.
let's do
Yeah.
that the next meeting. Okay, super, excellent, thank you. I just want to present this certificate of membership in the Clergy Action Network to Glad Tidings Apostolic Church, Alice and Westland Childs. And I think Miss Alice is here today to accept the certificate. Thank you for joining the crowd. The club.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Okay.
These are for you.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Thank
And
you.
welcome, thank you so much. All right, so we are going to, who came to the Juneteenth Festival? Yay, did you enjoy? Yes? Yeah, I think it was a real success. But we just wanted to do a debrief, and then the subcommittee who planned on Saturday mornings. We'll also have another debrief with the subcommittee, but I just think it's a good idea to do a debrief with the entire group. But before we do that, I want to acknowledge the subcommittee members who are here right now. We met every Saturday morning from 9 a.m. to 10, 11, whatever it took to really get the Juneteenth Festival executed and underway. And I think that all of the subcommittee members would, agree with me in saying that this is totally a God thing, 100%. I mean, we were vessels, we were there, we did our work, but there's no way on earth this happened without God being directly in our corner. And Satan was there too. Yes, sir. Oh, yeah. Like the last couple of days before the event, just crazy stuff started happening, and we all know what that is. And we just missed it in the name of Jesus. Satan, sit down. Sit down. And so what you saw that Saturday was really a testament to, I think, proof positive that God was just with us there. There's just no way else to say it. So I'm so thankful. I'm so thankful for all of you and for this subcommittee who worked their fingers and their staffs to the bone. I know they did. So let me say that I have a proclamation of Juneteenth for our subcommittee members, because I want you to take this back to your churches to commemorate your congregation's very hard work and prayers and everything that it took to pull this off. So subcommittee members, there's my pastor, Pastor Gilmore. I have a proclamation for you. Pastor Settons, I have a proclamation for you. Come on, Pastor John, I have a proclamation for you as well. So these are the city of Fairfield's way of saying thank you for your very hard work. This is commemorating the first annual Juneteenth Festival in the city of Fairfield. You are very welcome. They deserve a round of applause. And who didn't get one? Okay. And Chief Matt Lukenbach, I want you to come up and get your proclamation, because our Fairfield Fire Department was in the house the entire day. And so thank you, I appreciate you, 100%. And tell Deanna Cantrell we have hers too, because police, you can actually, no, okay.
I can get yours.
Okay, is that cool, Kelly? Yeah, so that's for the police chief. Me too. Our police chief and fire chief really supported this event a lot. And one of the things I can say about the event is that we had not one incident of any stupid stuff, not one. Not a single, nobody stepped to me and said anything about any problem, no altercation, no disagreement, just it flowed like it's unbelievable. And I truly believe that when folks look up and see our firemen in uniform and our policemen in uniform, that is a disincentive for stupidity, I think. I think it's an incentive to just act right, right? So, I mean, right? So I am so thankful that they're partners and can, and always have been, hopefully always will be. So thank you, subcommittee, thank you, Chief, for all of your hard work. And I would be remiss if I didn't say, Kelly, you must get a proclamation. You must have a proclamation. No, yes you do. Yes you do. Yes you do. I'm sorry. Executive call.
No, thank you so much.
I want you to take this home and let it commemorate, or wherever you want, and let it commemorate your stealth ability to get things done. Kelly was with us in the trenches when things started falling apart. She's texting me she's going on Father's Day to camping, and she's still getting it together. So we see you, Kelly.
Pleasure.
We see you,
My
Kelly.
pleasure.
Thank you very, very much. So in terms of debriefing, how do we want to do this? Let's debrief on Juneteenth, because hopefully this is the first of many more Juneteenth festivals to come. So it might be good to talk about kind of what worked and how we can do better moving forward.
I got a good conversation started.
Please, Chief. Thank you.
As I can talk about it.
Okay.
As an internal stakeholder in the city, one of my big pet peeves over the years has been streamlining systems and processes and trying to make things user-friendly on the outside, because specific to all of our departments, we're really good at knowing what each little branch needs to do. So I would just love any feedback that you guys have on the experience dealing with a variety of regulations and rules and standards and all that kind of stuff you have. If there's any way to streamline things or to somehow help that, it would.
Yes. Oh, you're recording? Okay, so we need everybody on the mic because they're recording this. Okay, so I can start off and say that, and Kelly, you might want to chime in too, but the permitting process is a real thing. and that land that we were on, the lower grass area belongs to the county, but then the upper grass area in front of the courthouse where we had vendors and children's games, that belongs to the state of California. So the Solano County Superior Court property belongs to the state of California, and we had to, so we didn't kind of know that. No. And we really had to, this is where I'm saying Kelly and David Gassaway, our interim city manager, they really nailed it. They just wouldn't stop. They made the phone calls, they just dug it out and just would not take no for an answer, period. So any way that we can streamline the permitting process, I think would be great. And then also, we experienced kind of a last minute issue with the Department of Public Health because we had food trucks. So we had been in communication with the county for at least weeks, if not months. And 2 days before the festival, the health department calls me and says, oh, by the way, every health truck needs a certain kind of permitting, and if you don't have it, they can't show up. Oh, wow. Why are we just learning about this 2 days before the festival? Wow. That's one of those things. So we really need to have a more transparent process, I think, in terms of permitting requirements, so that we're not down to the last minute with permitting requirements that we were not made aware of. That's huge. That was very scary. But you know, these CAN members, you can't scare these folks. You know, the more Satan pushes, the calmer they get. You know, and it's just like, hey, let's just get it done. So the permitting process between, the city's permitting process, I think, was fairly straightforward, but that's because, you know.
Right, the county had two, because we had the permit for the event, and then we had the permit from the health department. So we had
Right. So yeah, so we had a permit for the event, a permit from the health department, and then a permit from the state of California for that grassy area in front of the old courthouse.
Right.
So we really need to streamline that so there are no surprises. And you know, we had churches, our churches actually sponsored the food trucks. Our churches paid for everybody to eat for free from all of those food trucks. I know City Church did, right? Pastor Scott, I know Bay North did. Pastor Sam, I know St. Mark's did. Solano Christian Academy, Bethel Community Church just paid for the food trucks. Isn't that amazing? So people just got free tickets, went to the food trucks, and got wonderful meals. It's fantastic. Pastor Karen, do you have something? Here, let's get you on the mic.
You know, most of the things I experienced were first time, even this permit thing. It was the first time. Next time, that will be streamlined because we'll know more. But I think the tickets for the free food, we may need to rethink how that worked too.
Very good. That's good input. Yeah, because I was not, you know, I was emceeing the thing, so I was told, I didn't even get a free meal. I mean, like. Yeah, I was hungry. So Renee Trotter actually scrambled up something for me because I was hungry at the end of the thing. Pastor G.
Hi, I wanted to make mention that I think going forward, like where we had the churches set up with the tables, I think the churches should be intermingled with the vendors because the churches were kind of over.
Off to the side, yeah.
Yeah, and I think it just would have been a little, it might have given just a better flow if the churches were kind of, you know, vendor church. Just a suggestion.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense because for people to engage with the churches, they had to go all the way behind the stage, you know, yeah, and that's kind of out of the way. So, yeah, I think that's a great idea.
On the logistics note, we had parents who were not unhappy or complaining, but wanted the children's games down where they could see the children and still listen to the music, or, you know, see the vendors. Where the children's games were at, we could not hear the music or anything going on the stage. And so the parents didn't want to leave their kids with strangers, which I fully get, where they couldn't see them and they couldn't hear the music. So another logistics thing we can learn from.
Yeah, because there was plenty of area down on the lawn where you could have had the games. Absolutely. Kind of away from the stage so that the music is not blaring in the kids' ears, but to be on that same level. Yeah, that totally makes sense. Yeah. Pastor G?
I think also on our advertising, next time, like our flyer, we should say bring lawn chairs, or at least show a picture of a lawn chair. Because for whatever reason, people didn't know or didn't have them, don't carry them in their cars, so it might just something to point out.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Let's make sure that we have people bring lawn chairs. Yeah, because I saw most people standing the whole time, or like sitting flat on the grass. So yeah, picnic blankets, you know, lawn chairs. Yeah, let's include that in our advertisement. What else? Pastor Scott.
Just a thought, Sassoon was doing a Juneteenth event as well. I don't think I spoke to one of the promoters. They did not know we were doing it until it was already launched. But they had suggested to me that we consider collaborating with them and doing a joint Juneteenth. So I don't think theirs is faith-based at all. We are faith-based, but I don't know if that would be something we'd want to consider.
Yeah. How do we feel about that? Possible collaboration with Sassoon City. I mean, it's something that we can talk about. Quite frankly, I love that ours is faith-based. I think that that's what makes it special, that it's faith-based, that we had, you know, our mass choir singing and praising God in public and doing, you know, that's important. That's an important part of the process. And if that were to become problematic, that wouldn't work for us, I don't think, because we're a faith-based organization and we're proud of it. You know what I mean? So, but it's something to contemplate. Pastor?
Also, and not to negate what Pastor Scott mentioned, or not to pass by that, but just since we mentioned faith-based, I would like to see us, I enjoyed all the music and the groups and that we had, but there was only one or two choir songs. So I would like for it to be a little more faith-based next time if we're going to be faith-based. So maybe, I know initially the subcommittee had talked about each church representing, however they like, Bay North might have a praise dance, and St. Mark may have a song, and City Church may have a mime, so I don't know how we do that, but not to mention we had to pay all those bands. We wouldn't have had to pay churches. I don't think, you wouldn't have to pay me. I don't know. I just think we could have, maybe next time, lesson learned, I think. Just my opinion.
I think that's good feedback. We talked in the subcommittee a little bit about not wanting to have, the battle of the church choirs and to have competition among the churches. Well, they got 2 songs, we get 3. So we thought the mass choir was a good idea. And I think the mass choir did a fabulous job. And I think it was really a great presentation to see all those different kind of people up there. It was wonderful. But yeah, to have more of a presence of faith-based music, I think you're absolutely right. Yeah. So we just need to figure out how to do that where it makes sense. And I think, I already invited your wife, so, she already knows she's on the hit list, 100%. So, Pastor Tim, you got something?
I was waiting for it. Yeah. No, I agree with everything everyone said. I think that it's an outstanding event for sure. I think that collectively it showed unity. It also showed determination against all of the different barriers that were imposed to try to make the event successful. One of the things, though, that would take away from my team was, I think one is we have to get streamline our communication once things are established. And for one, I do apologize for my 20 by 10 tent because I didn't know it was supposed to only be a 10 by 10. So from that perspective, because we didn't know, because by the time we got the plans and where we're supposed to be, there wasn't really and then also, like she was saying with the tickets, some of the members were like questioned, before they can get there, who you with and that kind of stuff. So it kind of rubbed them a little bit raw. Also, I think whenever we're putting funding into a project, there should be a report done. What, where, how, when, anything left, what do we do with it, to that nature. And so I'm not sure how much, was raised or whatever, but I think that transparency from that perspective is also going to be done. And then also, when we move forward for the next year, I prefer to make it a church responsible for receiving funds, whether I make that check out to Bethel Temple or I make it out to City Church, but I will not be making out any more checks to anybody's personal name. So I just think from that perspective, it gives people a little bit more, platform to say, okay, we want to just know that this entity is going to handle it, and that doesn't matter, but it just, to them, right, it just to them was like, well, so I called Brother Reed just to quantify that that's the process, and once he put his stamp on it, we lamented and was like, okay, we can do that. But I'm just saying moving forward, so that we do it, if we have to pay for bands or whatever we have to pay for, we have enough funding there, also enough resources there. And I think even if we don't have a person bring chairs, I know we have enough churches together collectively. I could donate 100 chairs for the lawn or whatever is needed, if that's part of it, because I think having a place for, if we say the first 100 chairs will be available, then bring your own, something like that. And that way we can make sure that at least our dignitaries, even our city council members were standing, and, other people that were, prominent just had to stand. And so, but I think for the most part, I said the same thing. So, oh man, we need chairs out here. And I almost started to just go grab some, but again, I didn't want to just like overstep. I didn't know we wanted to keep people moving. I thought the process, if you didn't have a chair, then you want to just sit there all day. You might migrate through all the festivities, but the food was good. I got converted to a vegan.
Yeah, I heard vegan heat was like on point. I didn't get mine at all.
I got mine.
I thought that I think that all of those points are extremely valid points. And I really think that the Clergy Action Network, we need to have some kind of a presence financially. We need some kind of an account. We need some kind of place to where people and entities who are donating, because this is only our first event. We're going to talk a little bit about the next thing we're going to do. But we need to have, for the transparency that you're talking about, you don't want to write a check to Pam Bertani. I mean, you do, but you don't have to, But really, we need to have a way that we can have some kind of a presence at a financial institution. We're not a 501c3, right? So we talked about that, and kind of the consensus was at that point, we don't want to go down that road. But we do need to have a financial presence so that we can manage the donations and have transparency. The report that you're talking about, Renee Trotter, who I was hoping would be here today, is responsible for, and the subcommittee is going to debrief on all of that, and you will receive a report, 100%. And just know, Pastor Gilmore, did you ever get to be the signatory? Yeah, see, so we need to have a presence. Does anybody have any suggestions about that? I mean, you all are pastors, you know how these things operate. I mean, yes, Christina.
Just for what's already in place that could maybe be the repository of all that would be the Community Services Foundation. They are set up to kind of be a help and a pass-through for community events, so people can get a tax deduction by, because they are 501c3. That could be a partner that you think about.
Maybe the Community Services Foundation. They do great work, they do absolutely great work, 100%. And still, and thank you for that, I appreciate that. But what kind of presence can the Clergy Action Network have? Be creative.
I think that I agree. I don't think we need to form a full 501c3. I think we have enough spiritual presence within the CAN network and a congregation that's trustworthy, where they just set up a separate account. And then we have a board already. You just appoint somebody a treasurer, and that's just an annual account that's just sitting there that you can see. It's only operated out of, whether it's Bethel, whether it's Fairfield Church of Christ, it doesn't really matter to me. Once we set up the treasurer and the board over that account, who's holding it, it doesn't really matter. It's just funds there and checks set aside for that to handle what we need to handle. When we give to that fund, it's, there's very minimal accounting. It's not like we're doing a whole lot of events. Yeah, so it's not like we're doing things where it's just event based. And then let's say we had $3,000 left over. You said, you know what? There was a couple of families that needed somewhere to stay. We'll put them up somewhere for a couple of days, and CAN is active again in that way. But it's at least each time we do an event, we may run under budget or over budget, but it gives us a way to kind of manage it and without having to go. But I think her idea also will be one we could look into. But I think without us actually going all the way out trying to formulate another 501c3, you set it up that way, and the account could be DBA'd, CAN, whatever, because I know I can go to the bank and set up an account and title it whatever I want it to be.
Through your church.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
and it doesn't matter, I mean, we can vote on who would be that fiscal responsible entity, but the entity will have nothing more to do with it, but just having an account that's accessible to King.
Yeah, and that's the main thing, because, even with the Solano County Black Chamber of Commerce, we were, struggling with, I mean, they were like, who do we make the check to? Who do we make the check to? And you can't make it to Clergy Action Network because there is no account that says Clergy Action Network. And if we're not a 501c3, we can't, you have to open a personal bank account. And so that's really kind of what happened. But I agree with you. So maybe Christina, you can check into the Community Services Foundation, and then Pastor, are you?
I'm just talking, I could be completely wrong.
Right.
But I have to check with my.
Check and see,
I just know at some instances, I remember we were starting, I can't remember what it was, we were putting our, we were doing the housing with the city, and I did not have an account to manage the funds that we were using to house the people.
Yes,
So I went to
which
the
were considerable funds.
Exactly, so I set up another account under the church account, and they let us entitle it, homeless emergency shelter. And that's what we did all of our accounting reporting to the city, and that worked perfectly because we had a clean slate, but it did not mix with.
You weren't commingling the funds with
Right,
Bay
exactly,
North.
Exactly, so and that's what I'm saying, so in essence, it did what we needed to do, and once we finished and closed out, we reconciled with the city. The
Right.
city gave us a statement.
That's
and
smart.
Everything was perfect, so I was able to show them every receipt, every single thing that was spent, and that worked, and so it was pretty clean, and once we were done, we closed the account, and all is well.
Okay. So then let's have report backs from Christina and from you, Pastor, in terms of the viability of those ideas, and then we'll have a way to have our funds, separate, and to have, some accountability in terms of the name that's on the account, a separate account, and someone from the Clergy Action Network we can designate as the person from CAN who will be, the gatekeeper of the funds or whatever,
Right.
something like that. Yeah. Okay, I think that's good. Very good idea. What Pastor Sam Morris didn't tell you is that the day before the event, when our sound guy said, "Oh, by the way, won't be there." The sound, the stage, the sound, the sound system. I called Pastor Sam, and Pastor Sam said, "Look, we got a system, it's on standby if you need it." In other words, Satan, sit down. There you go. Sit down, sir. Move out of the way. 100%. And so, thank you for talking me off the ledge. I mean, what do you do when your sound guy doesn't show up the same? Oh my goodness. That means the show is off. But it was on, It was on plus on. So thank you for that. What else? What else can we do better? I love these suggestions. This is great.
Just curious about the recycling bins, the trash, because I wasn't there. Were there any issues with the recycling bins or cleanup?
To be honest with you, what I was told in passing, that people were amazed at how clean it was
Okay.
compared to other events.
All right.
So that was more like a feather in the cap, because they were not expecting that people were going to clean up and get, pretty much pick up everything, especially on the Christian side.
Well, I don't know that the bins were used for what they were intended. I was moving them back at the end of the day, and they were all just used for
Yeah,
trash.
I think they expected that. Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Just say it again.
Okay, Pastor Stettins was just saying that the trash and recycling bins were not used as they were intended. And I know that Corey Beavers with our recycling was saying that, oh yeah, that's probably going to happen.
I can't speak on that part. I was just talking about the appearance of the lawn and everything else. I'm not sure. next time I was thinking, we just do, for the next event, we just make some T-shirts that says staff and volunteers for that day. And I think it would help navigate people to questions. And that's one of the things with the food, they didn't know who was in charge because we didn't have an identity. So I think if everybody had on a T-shirt that said staff that was going to be volunteering for that day to assist you, to assist the stage, to assist the sound, to coordinate the food, the tickets, they would know who to go to, where the restrooms are. All of those things will kind of help navigate by just simply branding those people who we have trained to be able to say, oh, no, you can't put that there, it needs to go here politely. And I think it'll make all of those problems be resolved very effectively.
No, I think that's a very good idea. So just brand better around our service component, our help, our volunteer component. But at the end of the event, it was amazing because just like magic, everybody was just gone. When we said it was over, the vendors, the church, everybody was just gone. And the lawn was spotless. The lawn was spotless. There was really, I was very, very proud of that. It looked just like it did when we got there at 8:30 a.m. that morning. No porta potty issues, just smooth sailing.
One other thing I think we might look at next time is like the information table and where that goes and where we position it. And it's kind of awkward because people walking up from all these different ways, but maybe if we put balloons or something to, to let it be known that it's there, and then people can get information.
Yeah, I think that's a very good idea. I kind of should have done a better job too from the mic in terms of reminding people where the information table is, saying information table, wave your hands, and I only explained once the whole ticket routine, and that was at the top of the event. So for people coming in, after, come cycling in and out, they probably had no idea of what was going on with the tickets at all. Because your MC just didn't, I was up there on the stage jamming too much, so. I was doing it. So next time I need to get my groove off. And my son was like, Mom. I heard Pastor Gilmore say, Dylan, get your mother. The music was good. So need to do a better job at really having that kind of information cycle through as the day goes on. Yeah. What else? Pastor John, you mighty quiet over there. Okay, me too. I hear you. Here you go. Mike.
All of the ideas I've heard here today are great ones, and I know if we do that, it'll help a lot. But everybody that I talked to out there was just amazed with the whole idea that Fairfield would do something like this. And not only that Fairfield would do it, but that churches would do it. And so from the standpoint, we talked a little bit, I think I talked with Sam a little bit about spirituality, but I had a little bit different take on spirituality. I think the whole idea is for us to understand that we have a community that's very diverse, even in its religious beliefs and stuff like that, but also be prepared to take advantage to be the seasoning of that. And so we don't have to have an overwhelming thing. I think just the way the thing turned out suggests that there was a different spirit in this presentation, had it been elsewise or done by someone else. So I think that's what I took away from it, and I was really happy that those of us who are believers were able to come together in such a short period of time and work through some of the real difficult things. I also think the sound system perhaps was better than what you were going to get anyways, but it was inadequate for that space, especially outside. It takes a very powerful sound system to do that. So when we were talking about the cost of these systems, and we were like, we can't, that's what it costs. If you want to be heard over on the other side of that hill over there, it's not just about how loud you are here, but you have to have the knowledge to know how to project sound. And so you have to have different speakers at different angles. You have the speakers coming back at you. But even when you were making the few announcements, it really only projected about halfway out. So most folks could not really hear you. It sounded loud to you, but you just have to be comfortable with being loud because it has to be projected. So any of our large venues, when you're outside, you notice that you can hear that all the way out there, but that's because they're set up. So we might want to budget in a little bit more money for sound the next time.
We need a better sound system.
Definitely so.
Okay. Understood. That makes sense. Which is why, Pastor Karen, you were saying that you couldn't even hear the music on that lawn right on Texas Street. And that's not that far. So we need to budget in for a better sound system. I think that is a very, very good idea. Yeah. What can we do to get more people to attend? I think we should pick our date right now. You think so? Okay. Pastor Sam thinks that we've already done it.
Well, I think the word, like he said, just for the fact that pastors came together, changed the tone, and it also set the precedent of what people were comfortable doing. So we didn't have really ruckus. We didn't have anybody behaving, inappropriately. It was very clean, and it just made you feel good to be there. And people felt safe. The interaction between our first responders, I hugged more officers that day probably than I have the whole year because of COVID. So all my good friends, people who I hadn't seen in a while because of COVID, it was just like a reunion almost. And so I think just with that alone, and then us clergymen getting to see each church and, and go by and say hello, right there, we were all neighbors for one day. So I think, in essence, it's already spoke volumes because the vendors, the Black Chamber, all of the people there, I hadn't seen, they were like, oh man, we can't wait till next year. So I think we've already spoken and that's done. I think next year we just need to get the word out a little bit sooner, and then the participation will skyrocket. And the only thing I think we probably need to do is like your pastor stated, is maybe add in just a little bit more of spiritual presence there. And I think the choir was great, but I also think that people can get a sense of how diverse we are, with our spiritual practices from that experience. And so maybe even we have somebody do a poem one time, and because and somebody do some other things, have all the just be singing and preaching and nothing like that. But what I'm saying, in essence, just have a spiritual tone that kind of balances. They're gonna party a little bit, but throw a little information. Did you know back in 1963 this person stood up and took this for our freedoms today, and then go right back to the celebration? And so I'm just saying we want to educate as well as we celebrate. And so celebrating how far we've come, because like he said, nobody believed that Fairfield would allow something like that to happen. And it happened. And not only did it happen, it was amazing. So we have already set the precedent. And when you got up there for the very first time, and spoke, right then it resonated with me like, man, this is amazing. And so I only think it's going to grow. I don't even know if that lawn would hold us after next year. I really don't. So we might have to look for a bigger venue. And I'm definitely down with, with joining with Sassoon. I think that the two cities complement each other. I don't think it's really more, we'll kind of show more unity in a sense. And so I don't know how we can make that happen logistically, but, I'm just about bringing people together. And so that one day, I was walking around not stressing off whether I was Bay North or Bethel. I was just like, man, I'm out here as a believer. Right. That's what I felt. And so it's hard to feel that, when you go somewhere, you're not worried about how you worship or where you worship. You're just there among worshipers, and the worshipers are there celebrating the community. It doesn't get any better than that. And then the people were like, wow, it's not so tense. Where they actually sitting here, we got some preachers jamming up here, doing a little bob, and so they not really stuck up and all stiff. It was like they really enjoyed it. So just to see him out without the blazer was amazing. So yeah, the socks and shoes, yeah. And we took a picture now. We had to take a picture, too clean. But at the same time, I was out there with my brother, man, and it was great. I was out there with Brother Reed, and it was great. I was out there with other preachers, and it was great. And so that part to me resonates the most. And then our members who didn't even know, some of his members got to meet each other. So you can't put a price on any of that. And so my members are still talking about it. I have to throw one up for you that Sunday, and then the following Sunday, I said, y'all tired of me talking about Pam? No, rock it. So all I'm saying, no. What I'm saying is, what I meant by that in the vein of it is, somebody had to spearhead to get us to that point, right? And we appreciate that. We are appreciative of that. However, my thing of it is, if we talk about how much closer we got through that, you can't put a price on that at all. To all of the congregations, St. Mark's, every single congregation that participated was one that we've never worked together in that kind of climate. So you can't put a price on that. So I'm forever grateful.
Well, thank you. I think that says it all. It's amazing. It's a God thing. Yeah. You know when God is in charge of making something happen, he's a very orderly God. And he just took our little action and just multiplied it, period. And that's what we saw. Yeah. Oh, and the Solano County Black Chamber of Commerce, Tamuri Richardson, she single-handedly got all of those vendors, knew exactly where every single one was supposed to go. They knew what they were expected to do. They knew, it was tremendous. It really, really was tremendous.
Well, we'll find out, but hopefully all of the food trucks fared out okay. I think they should have.
I'm told that they all sold out. The report, I heard that all the food trucks sold out, and I heard that the majority of the vendors sold majority of what they brought. That's what I heard.
Well, I know they did for me, because I still got cookies.
Yeah, so we'll have waiting lists now for vendors and for the food trucks and all that stuff. We'll have, absolutely, because they'll know this event, this is where it's at. Yeah, this is where it's at. We'll have a waiting list this time around.
Renee was turning people away. I was getting calls and forwarding them to Renee for vendors that she was turning away because it was the day before or 2 days before. So.
Yeah. Okay. Yes.
Just one thing, I think it's critical for us to just mention. So when we came together as this organization, CAN, I think for me it was about us creating an opportunity where we could be transparent, but also presenting a platform for the community to be able to have conversation about some very difficult issues. And much of my conversation that day was the fact that all of the people were out there celebrating Juneteenth. The other thing was that even though the mass choir was a small number, the presentation was a very pleasant one because it wasn't just black people or white people, it was people. And people found a way to worship God and celebrate God. And some of the feedback I get from this place around here, our town, is that we tend to not be comfortable having a conversation, and especially in the churches. And I'm not saying that to indict any one of us, but the fact is, if God's people don't have the answer to bringing people together, then who does? And I commend the city of Fairfield for even having a conversation in this place right now, what we're talking about. But that's what we have to do, and we have to be willing to just create those environments, and that place was a place to have that, even though it was kind of individual-like, but folks were bringing up those issues. They were talking about the fact that police officers were coming up to me and hugging me and saying, hey, when are we going to get together again, et cetera, et cetera. And they're like, how do you know them? And I'm like, well, they're human. They just have a job to do. And they're no different than you and I. They're just people.
Well, I mean, they have guns.
Well, I know there's some folks that have guns that still do good things, and rightly so. We need guns. I'm not opposed to that, but I guess my point is that it's an education process that says we don't have to label people as bad and good. We just need to label people as people and understand that we all have challenges in our lives. I don't always do the right thing. I'm not perfect. And we don't need to expect that of anyone else. And so I think that I experienced that day. And if we could figure out a way to do that more often, then I know it will help us down the line. So.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Well said. Very well taken. Okay, so anything else on the debrief? Any other ideas? You know, and kind of the way I feel is that, you know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You know, I mean, let's not go tinkering with something that actually worked. I mean, so we can make our tweaks, of course, and that's what we're talking about, but organizationally and execution-wise, yeah. This was a tremendous effort. Really was a tremendous effort.
I think the only other thing I would say that we might want to consider is allowing to partner with our local businesses for sponsorship. I don't know if we need to always carry the full burden of supporting it when we have other, you know, local businesses that may be able to contribute to bring that along. So I think since we've had a successful one, say, hey, last year was a blast, do you mind donating? We have already set up a fund where a place you can write your check, and boom, you'll be surprised how much better your sound system could be.
I'm thinking sound system.
And then there are other activities you want to do, but I think that everything spoke for itself, and I think it's about coming together. So I think we should expand that. If pastors can come together, we bring businesses together. It's a win-win for everybody. Food trucks sold out, right? And so all the other vendors left happy. I was converted, you know, from meat to veggie. So it's a win-win.
I gotta get some vegan heat. Oh my goodness.
About it today.
So she's just on a truck? I mean, she doesn't have a shop?
No, she doesn't, but I got her number, so I just made my order. I placed my order.
And you go to the truck and get it?
No, I go to where she at. She's local. She's in Vallejo, like 3 days out the week.
I see.
So
it's a pop-up kitchen.
I see.
So I sent them over there to get the pastor his.
Oh, so you doing it like that
I
now?
don't know what it is, but it tastes like shit.
Okay.
Like, is this real food? This is real.
Yeah, I have to be converted to. Okay, so anything else for the sake of Juneteenth? I think that we should choose our Saturday for 2023 right away and stake that claim. Yeah, and start working on the funds for that sound system. Yeah, that's what's up.
Yeah, that and just our brand, you know, just building our brand. You know we need collateral pieces, and maybe this time we do the shirts. And if enough funding come in, a person that comes, they get a little keepsake, whatever it is, you know, and that could be, you know, showing a partnership with a little something that has the city logo on it, little logo on it, and whatever big sponsors we get behind it. Right. And so there's so many ways to, you know, to go about making, you know, it a memorable experience as well. And so, and then you bring in other things, and I don't know how we partner with the school district, but we're so dialed into them. I would love to see some children in underprivileged areas that are overachievers. You know, we say, hey, we want to recognize 6 of our students on Grande Circle that kept a 4.0 average. I don't know what it is to be, you know, working with limited Wi-Fi and limited things, but sometimes we need to showcase some of these great achievements in very, very difficult environments and say, hey, let's recognize these, and so this could be your next doctor, this could be your next lawyer. I think we can just do some things that really showcase what this celebratory event is all about. This is what happened because of that. The freedom to get educated, the freedom to rise, the freedom to be empowered, the freedom to overcome. And so I think in that vein, we can, you know, you be the perfect person to celebrate that up there.
Well, and I'm sure that the superintendent, Chris Corey, done.
Yeah.
I'm sure she'd be very interested in doing something like that and helping us to identify those students to lift up. I think that's a great idea. Kelly is getting all this down, y'all. So she's recording all these ideas that we're going to revisit as we move forward and approach our next Juneteenth. Anything else on Juneteenth? And Pastor Karen, oh my God, you talk about branding. The sign, did you see all the signs that she made for all of the churches who sponsored, all of our sponsors? Please, beautiful, beautiful. I mean, we didn't even ask her to do that. She just came that morning with that. So I hope that you saved all that, because we most definitely be, I love that. Very classy, very nice touch. Going above and beyond, the call of duty in a very short period of time.
Yeah, and I just want to personally thank the churches and all the committee members who stepped up.
Yeah.
I just want to I wasn't a part of that, but I just want to say thank you, because it was that pre-planning that kind of made everything, all the wheels turn. And so I think sometimes we don't give people their flowers, but if you didn't hear from anybody else, you heard it from Pastor Morris. Thank you very much. Outstanding job.
Outstanding job indeed. Thank you. Yeah, hand for that. Hand clap. So, all right, if we don't have anything else on Juneteenth, my question to you is, where do we go from here in terms of our next endeavor? We know Juneteenth 2023 is happening, but we got a little time between now and then. What would we like to be working on for our next project? Hopefully that we can execute sometime in the fall of this year.
On the agenda is the Travis Air Force.
Travis Air Force Base. For those of you who are not aware, usually the chaplain from the Travis Air Force Base attends the Clergy Action Network meetings. And we talked about collaborating with the Travis Air Force Base so that some of our heroes on the Air Force Base who fight for our freedom and risk their lives on a daily basis for us, so that we can build relationships with them. Because according to our chaplain, one of the hardest things, if not the hardest thing, that our servicemen and women face is not being sent out to do the job, not being deployed. The hard thing is to come back home after something like Afghanistan, after something that they were on the ground right there when everything was happening. The difficulty is coming back home and with all of that experience and integrating back into the community in Fairfield, California, where they live. And so the Clergy Action Network is very interested in helping to facilitate that relationship building. So we had planned, when we thought COVID was kind of diminishing, we had planned to take the Clergy Action Network out to the base and have discussions over lunch, with some of the servicemen and women at Travis Air Force Base to begin introducing them to your churches. They need to be in your churches. They kind of don't have a way to make that transition. This is according to the chaplain. This is straight out of his mouth. That they need to be members at your churches. They need to know you. They need to know who you are. They don't need a parade. They don't need a cookout. They need to be in your churches. And so, we just wanted to go out to Travis, have that conversation, begin that relationship building process with our servicemen and women. COVID nixed that. And then we were going to do it when they had the air show, but then the logistics of having us on the base and doing this simultaneously with the air show would have just been logistically very challenging and just not realistic to do. So we can think about how, we want to re-engage that task. Travis Air Force Base is our crown jewel. They really are. And they're a crown jewel of the United States Air Force, period. They're known for being the top people. They are really, really very impressive. So we just want to, and without the chaplain, it's kind of hard to do that. We may want to just re-engage him in the coming week or so and see if we can get, back on track with that aspect of what CAN is doing. We want to make sure that our servicemen and women actually know Bay North. They've actually talked to you and had an opportunity to experience you other than, on a Sunday morning, right? Just to open those relationships up with all of the churches that are represented here. Wouldn't that be fabulous? Chaplain says that's what they need. So we will engage him in the coming weeks and see if we can restart that conversation. Any thoughts on this? Any thoughts on the Travis Air Force Base connection?
Thank you. I think that's great. By me being my husband was in the Navy, and so we were stationed in San Diego, and so we did host a lot of the sailors at our home and everything. And you'd be surprised how much it really helped them and how much they were just felt so in touch. And, many of them were far from home, and they was like, oh, this is just feeling so home. And so that touches me dearly because I've just gone to a young man's funeral. The suicide rates are high. They're up in the military and everything. So my husband being a vet, we get a lot of the newsletters and the emails, and then my father-in-law, he was a vet, and you just see just my brother was a vet, and so I remember when he came home from Vietnam, I remember sitting in the home, and he came in the door, and I remember my parents was like, oh, Peter's home. He walked in, and I remember him just walking out. It was just something, it just seemed like he came back as a shadow when he left. And so he told us some of the stories that he had to endure. And unfortunately, it was really rough. It was really hard. He succumbed to a rare cancer from it. So it was really hard to see that and to come back. And it was like, the family was there, but it was like he had withdrawn. So they come back with, different issues, being in the war. He was boots on ground. And so, like I said, with my husband being a vet, I, see a lot of things they have to go through, trying to get the care. And so I'm all for that. I think it's really, really good, really have a connection with that. We have a lot of friends that are vets and know a lot of young men that are in the military. In fact, my grandson is talking about going into the military, so it touches me dearly. So I think Travis is just a jewel there. And I'm on board with that 100%.
Fabulous.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. For those of us who have never been in combat, it's just hard to fathom. I mean, you would think that the scary part is being deployed. When you're on your way to Afghanistan and there are crazy people over there with guns and, that's not the hard part. That's what they're trained to do. But it's the coming home after witnessing all that they witnessed and then just being plopped back into the democracy in America and life in Fairfield, California. So thank you for sharing that. That's very on point. Yeah, that's very on point. Any other thoughts on reconnecting with the Travis Air Force Base?
I think we'll probably just go ahead and dial in and get connected, and then based upon the needs, assess those needs and start putting resources around that. We do have a few parishioners right now that are active on base as we speak. The Malones, they moved from Texas, and her husband's stationed here, and I think they found us online. And a very wonderful couple, 2 children, and then but normally if we have any couple that joins, or any family joins our church, my wife and I take them out to dinner personally, so they can kind of get to know us and then acquiesce to what their needs are and what they would like to do. And one of the things that we found, like she just said, is once you bring them into your home, it changes them from being in that base environment. And so it gives them that sense of family and community. So I think that we can play a vital role in helping a lot of, especially the younger ones. We actually have an established couple, and then they invite the younger ones. And I think that's the ones we really need to reach, that age group between, 18 and probably 29, where they're kind of single, out on their own. We have another young lady, she's, I think, I want to say 21, name is Imari, and she comes by herself to service, but she's on base too, and kind of alone, but she's met friends, you know, at church, and she's kind of built her life outside of the base.
Right.
And so that's kind of, we kind of are her family. So, you know, she has sisters now, senior sisters in the church who kind of give her advice and, you know, things of that nature. But until she's, you know, given another assignment, we're going to continue to pour into her. And so I think that's her in this family. There's probably hundreds of others that can also use that stability from other congregations. So I'm with it as well.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's great input. So what we need to do is try to get another date to get on the base. That's what we need to try to dial that in and see.
So would you be open to the panel? I think we had talked about having a panel of airmen here because it was hard for everybody to get on base and the logistics and such. So I could talk to Colonel Richardson and see if we could get a panel of airmen for possibly the next time and try to identify their needs. And then we have the clergy Action Network list roster. We could have that as a handout to each of them so they could see the churches that are represented, just as a thought.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of, the security procedures to get in this chamber are kind of tough, but not as tough as Travis Air Force Base. I mean, that you go on that base, that's not messing around committee out there. You know, forget about it. Yeah, no, forget it. If it ain't right, ma'am, I need you to take your vehicle, turn it around, and leave. And that's exactly what you do. No, you know what they did? Remember that time I went out there for that breakfast and for whatever reason my name wasn't on, and I was like flexing. I was like, excuse me. Okay, check my credentials one more time. He said, he was talking to me and in his mic at the, I said, let me get out of here. Let me hurry up and turn around. Ma'am, I need you to take your vehicle and yeah, take your, I said, thank you, officer. I'm out. That actually did happen. That is a no mess around crew out there. Forget it, don't play. So I think that having it here, I mean, I think it would be great. I mean, you know, we can have a panel up here of Air Force men and women, and we can be in the audience and facilitate conversation, and yeah, and just it's about building relationships. That's a, you know, have some nice refreshments out in the lobby area and really make it very nice. And it probably would happen a lot sooner if we do it that way, as opposed to going on the base. Agreed? Okay, let's do that. Yeah. Thank you, Kelly. And shall does not mean might when it comes out of Kelly's mouth. Shall means so it shall be written, so it shall be done. Yeah. All right, I think that's good. I think that's a good look. I think that would be great if we can pull something off in the fall. I think that would be great. So let's shoot for that. Who's going to the back to school fair at St. Mark's Lutheran Church? You want to talk about that for a second? Pastor Stetton, senior pastor of St. Mark's Lutheran Church.
Yes, if you need flyers, I've got flyers in Spanish and in English. August 13th is a Saturday. It's from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. We give out over 1,500 backpacks filled with school supplies. But not only that, the school supplies and that are great, but we have all the resources of the city and the county that come right there for people. The city is there, our police department is there fitting kids with bicycle helmets. Our health department is there telling people about vaccinations or whatever it is they need to know. The entire campus is filled with resources, and that's all it is. There's food, and there's, the fire department's always got our food covered for us. There's food, free food, it's all free, and if your congregation would like to maybe help with providing some supplies, I have that information, and Kelly, can I just get you that information? They actually have a gift registry this year that you can just click on, and there's Walmart, there's Target, there's Amazon, there blah, blah, blah. And you can just order right online and have it shipped right to them. So great event. They need volunteers for the day of the event, but also they start packing things on our campus on the Tuesday before the event, because they have to make sure all the backpacks are empty so that each backpack has the same amount of stuff. So there's also, on the link I will send you, there's a place you can volunteer. And come on, it is just, the first year I was there, I was just so touched. Of course, COVID changed things for a couple of years, but we're back up and running this year, full speed ahead.
That's great, thank you. And I know that the line is usually wrapped around the building by the time that the event actually starts. This is, for a lot of these kids, this is it. For school supply, this is it. Their parents do not have the means to do anything more than what is in this backpack. And you guys remember how it was going back to school. Your parents would take you, like you said, my parents, we grew up in Oakland. We would go down to Swans and get all our new clothes and, and get our, backpacks and go to get the school supply. That's a big thing for kids. That's a huge thing, to be ready to enter school with some new things and with the equipment you need. That's psychologically, that is tremendously important. And for a lot of, you guys remember this. Imagine you going to school without, come on now, without your new clothes and your new, binders and pens and crayons and containers and, back when they had lunch pails, you get your new lunch pail and all that stuff. I mean, this is it for these kids. This is it. So any way that we can help facilitate this event, we should definitely be trying to do that. I mean, it's probably too late to kind of have a canned presence there, but I would love to see a concerted effort for us to support, people support what they help to create, right? So I would love to see our churches help this event at St. Mark's. What day is it again? It's
Saturday, August 13th.
August 13th. And I know, Bethel, we do a backpack giveaway as well. Are we doing one soon?
Yeah, I don't know the dates.
He's the pastor. He don't know nothing about dates. But it's coming in August?
I think so.
Or September?
Late August, I think. I don't know, but it happens in August.
Selena's got the date. Don't worry. City of Fairfield is on it, right?
Working on it right now. No problem. So the Bethel and Foundation, the Community Services Foundation backpack giveaway will be at Bethel Community Church on August 6th, which is a Saturday, from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. And it's typically a drive-through, and so that's where it wraps around, and we have all the cars going through. So they'll be getting food bags, backpacks, and other services there as well.
Very nice. All right. So it looks like our churches are on it. And we have our firemen there. We have a big red truck there, right? And they're doing hot dogs, right?
Cooking, and there's gonna be a lot of educational stuff.
Very nice. So let's make sure we get out and support, okay? Sure.
I just wanted to let you know that for the first time this year, we are partnering with HOPE. And help me with the acronym, ladies. Homeless Outreach Partnership, yes. So that if you've ever been by St. Mark's, there's a city parking lot right on Travis. That is going to be filled with vendors too.
That's nice.
And resources. And so we're partnering with them. There'll be resources of all kinds, so.
Very nice. Thank you. Who else had a comment?
No, so how does that work? Is it one backpack per family or per child?
Per child.
Okay.
And there's different ones for different age groups.
Okay, because we service all low-income families right now, children through the summer. So we have a free summer camp that we partner with Unified School District with this year. And so all the children that come under our care for the entire summer. The parents don't pay a dime for their children to get dropped off while they continue work. And we give them STEM and STEAM projects. So I'll be letting all those parents know that on that day, get over there. So I would like to get that information as quickly as possible to kind of help us. Sounds good. So, okay, because I think we have about 72 children right now. So that's quite a few. And again, all of these children are basically low-income families, every single one of them.
Well, and just to back up, we don't ask them for their income. We don't ask them.
And that, what?
If they
And
show up in line and need a backpack,
Assume they need it.
assume they need it. Okay, wonderful.
Right. Anybody in line for a backpack, assume they need it.
That really need it, really get it. That's what my main passion is
well,
about.
that's what I need all of you to help me with.
Yeah, and we, the churches have St. Mark's, Bethel have figured out how to make sure that, you don't have the person coming up trying to get 5 backpacks, and their kids are in college, that kind of thing.
Well, also Liberty Church is doing a backpack giveaway. We're planning to give 500 backpacks. We work in 6 different complexes of apartment for the past 2 years. Crowley Lane, Grande Circle, we have a Grove. So we distribute it pretty much in those complexes where we see that there is a need. However, if there is a need, anyone wants to get in let's say Grande Circle, we can give it out there as well.
Very good. All right. Look at God's people out here doing what needs to be done. I love it. Making a difference where it counts.
Can I do a quick PSA before you?
Absolutely, Chief.
Unrelated.
Absolutely.
But I'm just thinking about the access we have to large groups here. And every year we have a really, really hard time communicating the fact that fireworks are illegal. And in Fairfield, they've been illegal for 30 years since I've been a firefighter here. And this is all fireworks. So safe and sane is not a thing in Fairfield because they're not safe. So if you guys have the ability to share with your congregations on Sunday that all fireworks in this city are illegal, it'd be really helpful because they cause fires every year. So thank you.
Okay, pastors, y'all hear that?
Yeah, but I got a question.
Okay. Morris. He's got.
So that's a great statement. So how do we define that, since every time I go down Sassoon, I see these huge. They're legal. Okay, so that's the problem.
Sassoon is one of the few in the county that they do allow the safe and sane ones. But we have, Fairfield's pretty bad on 4th of July now. We have constant fires. We don't have enough cops and firefighters to go after it. So our dispatchers are.
So even if they purchase it in Sassoon and you live in Fairfield, it's a no. Gotcha. That's all I need to. I did not know that. I'm glad you said that. I had no idea.
Yeah, zero.
Everything was sold.
No, zero tolerance. Zero tolerance for fireworks, period. Yeah, it's just, yeah. Zero tolerance. All right, folks, well, thank you for a great meeting. Please, pastors, please spread the word this Sunday. Fireworks are illegal in the city of Fairfield. If you get caught with them, you will be prosecuted to the ends of the law. Now, don't say that part. That's just me. That's just me adding extra. But it is exactly. Yeah. Okay. So, anything else for the good of the order? Anything else? Would you like to close us out in prayer?
Our Father in heaven, we approach you at the end of this meeting today with gratitude in our hearts for this ability to meet and discuss those things that are dear to all of us, and to see how we can impact the lives in our community for better. We're grateful for our many blessings and for everything else that thou dost give us. We ask that we might always strive to be close to thee and to find ways that we might serve thee both in our own denominations and within the community. Bless us now as we depart from this meeting, that we may do so safely and travel to our destinations, that we might keep thy Spirit and thy word with us. This we ask in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. And thank God. Thank you, Ken. Great meeting. See you next time. Happy 4th of July.